Welcome, everyone. We hope that everybody is staying safe today. It's a unique day in North Carolina. Already there is power outages in all over the state, but right around me. So hopefully I will be here for the whole webinar. And this is our third in the COABE Atlanta series. I think we have 4 more we're planning to do before COABE happens again in March. And then we will do some more based on what we learn at COABE this year. I hope people are enjoying this. This was just a brainstorm I had, and I'm glad to see we have so many here today. All right, thank you, Leigh.
Okay, so welcome everyone. As Dan said, this is a continuation of our COABE series from the COABE Conference, Things That We Learned. And this was thanks to the Professional Development Facilitators Network project that occurred, now we're in 2024, so last year, 2023, at the beginning in the spring. And so I was introduced to these lovely ladies during the PDF Network project, Gina, Coffey, and Laurie, Weston. And for today's session, for today's webinar, we will start first with Gina Coffey. She will introduce to you all some things that she took from the COABE conference, and then we'll move on to Laurie Weston, and then we will bring everything together with a breakout session. So I do want to introduce our presenters for today. We will start with Gina Coffey. She has worked in adult education for 18 years, a great number for sure. She's taught in various capacities of adult education, such as ESL, ELA, HSE, as well as learning lab classes. I love this about her background, that she did teach French and drama in public high school and ESL in middle school. And we did connect actually because of teaching ESL abroad. Both of us have that experience. So I do love that about Gina. Right now, she's currently working both at Caldwell and Mayland Community College. And she's serving as, I guess you're the professional development facilitator, as well as the instructor for ASC and HSC classes and a level 5 ELA class that's geared towards English language learners. So that's Gina Coffey. And then I just want to introduce Laurie Weston as well, so we can seamlessly go through this webinar. So Laurie Weston, she is a retired educator with over 40 years of experience. My goodness, that is a whole adult human being. And this includes 25 plus years working with adults and adult literacy programs. She served as a director at a WIOA Title II adult literacy program at Pitt Community College for 9 years. Currently, she's serving at Rivers East Workforce Development Board. She's the youth program specialist for that. She's also partnering with Title I Next Gen programs, and she's working at Beaufort County Community College as a professional development facilitator and instructor. She also holds multiple certificates. She gave me a long list. We just don't have time for all of them, but she holds a lot of certificates. She got her master's at UNC Chapel Hill, and she's also a natural at public speaking and giving presentations. She's been to many conferences, held many workshops and many trainings. So we really do appreciate that she's here to provide us with some great presentation skills we can all admire and take after that. So without further ado, I will stop sharing, Gina, and you can start your portion of today's COABE webinar. Thank you so much.
It's great to be here. This is Gina Coffey talking, in case you can't see me. Hopefully you can. Let me get this up here just for a second so that it will go away. I'm trying to get this. Let's see. I see it now. Sort of. This worked earlier, didn't it?
It did. It did.
It did. It really did.
If you need me to go through your presentation, we can do that.
I might need you too, because now it's not.
Can you click on slideshow and not have it drop down? Like just click on, see what happens.
I just clicked on slideshow. Hold on just a second, but it's not giving me what it normally does. It's doing something weird.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. Do you guys see that as I pulled that up?
Yeah, it just worked.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
So
easy. Let me go through this then. Okay.
Thank you.
So just let me know, Gina, whenever you want me to go to the next slide, just say next, and we will do it this way. Not a problem.
Wonderful.
Okay, so here we go.
All right, so this last June at Mayland Community College, we presented a professional development, and we entitled it Fearless for the 3 C's. Next slide. So what are these 3 C's? These stood for careers, credentials, and level completions. And these are, of course, part of the MSGs that we talk about. All right, next. Okay, so why was the topic of this professional development? Why do we have this on MSGs? And next. Because we allowed our teachers to have a voice. We gave them a survey first before we even decided what this topic would be on professional development. And we're going to show you what their surveys revealed on a scale of 1 being lowest, and I think it was 5 being highest. So next. So one of the things that I wanted to mention was this is a screenshot of kind of what you see here. They had an online survey, and they didn't have extremely low scores. So I felt like, wow, they are fairly comfortable with things, and that made me feel good. Their lowest average scores were showing up. One of these was a 3 in what we called non-diploma preparation. Now, I really wanted this professional development to be relevant to our teachers' needs. So our objective for the PD was to address these concerns that they had. And then through COABE, use the strategies and tips from COABE that we learned to address things. So when I saw, this is one of the lower ones, we're going to address this so that the teachers feel more comfortable. Okay, next. All right. So what else influenced this PD? One was that we did a student survey. Before I get to that point, though, I also want to mention that I did, after looking at the teachers' surveys, I reached out to a few of those teachers to find a little bit more about their lower score, where they scored things in a lower realm, to find out really why. And they said one of their concerns was that it's fairly easy to transfer students over to a college curriculum class in a non-diploma program. They feel like that students going into college, they go to that orientation, they get all that information that we do share with students, but they get it maybe even more so. They hear again about the academic advising, they hear about tutoring, they hear about college prep classes. And our teachers felt that students naturally transition easier. But what about those students who are the non-diploma students or those who want to enter the workforce? We felt like maybe we didn't know how, or we weren't as comfortable in preparing them to move on. And that these particular students sometimes lacked the soft skills that are required in going on to that workforce. Okay, so back to the screen ahead, or not ahead, sorry, what you're looking at. We gave out these student surveys. Why did I decide to do that? At COABE, they said students want to know why they are learning something. So I said, let's do a survey. Okay, I'm sorry. Now, Leigh. Okay, so this is a rough screenshot from one of the questions on their surveys, which was, what are your plans when you leave this program? And we had begin a new job, and they could only circle one. Begin a new job, enter the workforce, begin college classes at a community college, 4-year college. The word take is no longer there, but take a course to earn a credential that leads to a specific job, such as CNA, etc. To have better speaking, listening, writing skills, to be more successful in life in general and have success in independent living skills. So what I'd like you to do is just take a guess at what you think are Mayland Community College students selected as a majority, which was the highest. So what we're going to do is in the chat box, if you think that most of, I know you may not know Mayland well, but just a good guess in knowing adult ed. If you feel like most of them chose beginning a new job, if you'll put in your chat number 1, if you like beginning college classes, 2, earning a credential, if you'll type in 3, better speaking, listening, if you'll make that a number 4, and being more successful in life and success in independent living skills. So if you'll just, okay, sing several 1s, several 3s. I did see a 5. Okay, a 4. Yes. Yes. And a 1. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to let Leigh do the next little click. Thank you for continuing that. Yes, a 1. So I do want to mention right at this moment, we didn't have any ESL classes at the time the meeting. So they could not respond. And I think that would have obviously changed some things. But 50% really wanted a new job. And that was good for me to remember, okay, I mean, yes, I do need to prepare some students to transition into community college, four-year university. But a lot of my students are more thinking, I'm leaving here. When I exit this program, I'm going to straight into a job. And I shared this in the PD so that would also enlighten our teachers. So now what I would like for you to do is I want you to think about your class or classes if you teach multiple. And which plan do you think the majority of your students would select in this survey? And again, you're just going to type in the number. We're going to keep those numbers the same. And just go ahead and start typing those in. Okay, new job, new job. Yes, to have the better, yes, we're getting more now, credential, okay. Yes. Okay, credential, non-diploma, okay. Yes, I'm seeing a little bit across the board, and I know that we are all in different areas of North Carolina, and we know that the economic climate of the particular area we are in North Carolina can affect these things. New jobs, seeing more credentials. Thanks, Devon. Yes. Yes, a 5. Okay, independent living skills. Absolutely. So yes, these still are going to matter because across the board, we're seeing that these are still needs of our students. And maybe something we can do is send out, maybe even within our own classroom, within our program, to see at the moment in time, maybe do we have a majority that are looking about for some goal that we don't even realize is the majority? Not that the others don't matter. Great. Next slide, if you would. Thanks. Okay. So I had another question on the student survey. Do you feel that you know the right people to contact about transitioning to your next step in life? And I'm going to speed up things a little bit. I'm going to give you a chance to respond in just a minute, but I'm going to go ahead, Leigh, if you'll show us, if you'll click, and I'm just going to go ahead and show. So this surprised me. 75% of our students said they did. And I thought, when I've talked to my students in class, I've always kind of felt like they may not from what they said. I was encouraged that they felt more confident. And I think Mayland has done a great job, Steve Gunter and everything, with us trying to give students as many resources as we can. But sometimes students don't ask questions because maybe they don't in reality really do know. They think they know. What I'd like you to do in the chat box is I want you to think about the students you teach, and I want you to type in whether you feel like the majority would say yes to this or the majority would say no. So we'll just see those pop up. Okay. Okay. Seeing lots of no's. Thank you. I would say yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. I think that if we say no, it doesn't mean that we haven't been giving out resources, right? And that we haven't been doing a wonderful job with our students. I'm always so impressed as I meet people across North Carolina and our teachers. But I do think that if the majority or even some are saying no, it reminds me how fragile students can feel, how they maybe not voice that they don't know. They might say they do. So sometimes we can just sort of make that assumption. You know, I'm just going to present this to everybody, and then also maybe meet one-on-one and start talking about those next steps, whether it be college or something else. Right. Next slide, if we could. So another low one was independent living preparation. And I'm just going to jump to this. Okay. Okay. I'm looking at my notes. Okay. As far as our teacher survey went, our teachers scored lower in this comfort level. And I would say for me too, I can, you know, I'm getting this person ready for their GED or HiSET, moving them on, or yes, this is my ESL student and he or she wants to take college classes and wow, we're getting them the vocabulary and everything they need. But how often do I focus on this one? So I feel like that's something I was really lacking, and COABE helped me with this. So looking at this independent living preparation, this lower score reiterated the fact that we needed help from something like COABE to provide more resources to make our teachers feel more comfortable. Next slide. Okay, so what was a resource that I used from COABE to address these concerns, independent living, and that sort of thing, and moving on to your next goal? Well, that was taking one of these sessions that talked about students identifying, developing, and utilizing their soft skills. The slide that you see are just some notes that I had typed up from attending the session. And they said that worlded.org is a wonderful resource to use for transferable skills. College, jobs, living at home, whatever it may be. It even has parenting skill lessons that I often take for granted. And this can be used in ESL teachers or students and anybody. They did give me some statistics that I felt are worth sharing. 57% of learners cannot identify their transfer skills with a high degree of confidence. Most failures are attributed to soft skills. That was huge to me because in my mind I was thinking, oh, maybe they didn't make it in this job because, oh, we didn't cover enough work vocabulary, career vocabulary. They said only 11% of new hire failures lose their job due to technological incompetence. So again, soft skills are so important. So please try worlded.org if you get a chance. Next one, please. Okay. So I attended another one called Helping Students Stay. And so we cannot aid our students in their life skills or soft skills or other goals unless we can retain them, right? We can't do all these other things. So this is essential. And they were, so again, here are some notes on this. The second one from the top, we lose most students within the first few weeks. Students who don't see small or big goals achieved are likely to leave. So that revisiting goals is helpful. This COABE session said that students are more motivated when classwork is relevant to their goal and seems personally useful. We know that. This is always a good reminder to us, right, as we're working through lesson plans. We can connect digitally if possible through Remind apps and things like that. They mentioned a long K-12 app, which has great, good get-to-know questions for teacher and students, or within the classroom, which builds community in the classroom, which Laurie is going to talk about, and also having students write goals. on the right-hand side of the screen, they suggested to have former speakers former students, who have graduated or exited the program, come back to the current classroom and speak to the students. Having that is building community within classroom and abroad, right, or further into the community. But it's also having sort of their colleagues speak to them in a way they may listen that we don't. Another college did this. If you passed 2 HSE tests, the student was automatically referred to a college counselor if that was in their goal setting. And our teachers in our PD thought these were great ideas, those 2. Okay, next one. Okay. So this was a session that I attended at the COABE Conference. And this is a particularly unique and helpful resource from COABE that helps the students transition to really any next step in life. We talk about those 3 C's, credential, whatever it is, we can get them to a level completion. What's truly remarkable about what I'm going to quickly explain is that this helps us not only to transition into the future, but also it helps us in our present, the student where they are now, where he or she is now. So if we can go to the next slide, Leigh. So this came from a session that was called RUA, Are You Healthful Always? And this session focused on a student hands-on project called Using a Life Balance Wheel. It's designed to provide a student an analysis of areas of life that can be improved on that ultimately results in a better life experience overall. It's based on self-evaluation, and it provides several resources to organize one's thoughts and plans. So it's not, they give you some time. They don't just throw you into this. There's some thoughtful planning that can go into that. So it does, besides some planning things, it also has a questionnaire. And on the right hand of the screen, I hope you can see that, it's broken into 6 major life categories. Each category is color-coded, and it contains its own set of questions. And as you can see, these categories are as physical, the physical part of our lives, financial, intellectual, emotional, social, spiritual. And this applies to all students, which is great. It doesn't matter our background, where we come from. These are all parts of us. And that can kind of bring community together in the classroom. So after a student has answered these questions, the student then goes to this life balance wheel on the left. And the student colors in each corresponding wheel section, the degree of achievement to that particular question. Maybe they felt they were at 100%, maybe not, maybe 75%. Also, this is a great math practice lesson for percents, if you want to throw that in. That it helps them with math, but they're also really having to think about each facet of their life. And upon finishing, what I like about this is the student can actually stand back away from this and see their life as a whole for where it is now. And I think that our job is to be encouraging and to say, I think it's important. I truly need to sit down and do this because I think that it's important for us to see, where are we now? And it's not a bad thing. It's just, okay, what am I looking at? And I think this visual is great because we can see what is off balance, because we want to try to get as balanced as we can. The student can see what is full in my life, what is lacking. And this really instills a growth mindset. I think, Leigh, if you click, we have a pop-up. So yes, great for correctional classes. It's great for anything. The gentleman who led this session actually was a correctional instructor. But I truly believe this is good, any classroom, anywhere. These questions can be done totally independently, quietly, privately, or the teacher could lead a sort of discussion. Each person can write his or her own percentage answer without sharing. But I think if we were very sensitive in the way that we led this lesson, I think some students would feel comfortable and open to maybe share where they feel they are. Finally, this exercise builds self-efficacy. That was the title of the beginning of this that Leigh put up. So I learned this term truly at COABE. I'd heard of it before, but I thought, what is that? No self-esteem. So I kind of wanted to read my notes from COABE on that. So a self-efficacy is a student's confidence about being able to perform a specific task, not an overall self-esteem of the whole person, but on certain tasks. And COABE said revisiting goals on a regular basis helps with self-efficacy. And especially looking at specific tasks, I can master this one thing. And that can make me feel that I'm not a failure. So maybe I take a little piece out of this wheel and I focus just on that, and I can make progress just in that one thing. And quickly, I know we're tied for time. So this balance wheel can be revisited. And I feel like it could be made into sort of a living document that as our lives change, as we move on, and even those of us who teach, as we age, our lives change, and this changes. And so we'll go a little bit more into life balance wheel later with Leigh, but I'll go ahead and stop there.
Okay, thank you so much, Gina. And yes, you are correct. For those of you who were able to join Kevin's COABE session webinar, he did discuss self-efficacy. And so this is a great connection with what he discussed. This is an activity that can definitely foster that. So thank you so much, Gina. So just because we're tight on time, I think, Laurie, I'm going to run your part of the PowerPoint too. So we're going to move right on to Laurie's section of the PowerPoint. I was going to ask if anyone had any questions, but I do want to give us time for the breakout session for you to actually explore the life balance wheel and how you could use it, as well as Laurie's section of this webinar. So we're going to move right on to Laurie Weston, and I will give you the stage.
Okay, you can just go to the next one. And my presentation is as a result of doing a survey with our teachers who said we want to find ways to get our students to stay. And we, when I attended one of the, it was not the same session that you went to, Gina, but apparently the same context was creating community in the classroom so that students were connected and they stayed. And so these are the three main theories that the speakers used to show the research that's been done. And I'm not going to go into that in detail. I am going to say, though, the bottom list I added to this presentation because I discovered it after working with Nicole Worley at Richmond Community College, and she bought a book for all of her teachers called How to Achieve Better Student Retention in Adult Education, and that's Teddy Edward, and you can find it on Amazon, and I bought it. It's a very quick read. It really pulls in a lot of the theory and a lot of the findings of the research, but also very practical ideas that a lot of us probably already do, and certainly fit right into my philosophy of the way that we work with adult learners. So turn next. So some of that is just to recognize, connect with each other in the classroom, develop that community by having celebrations and recognitions and getting those students connected, for those of us that are in community colleges, with the community college. For those of us who are community-based organizations, getting connected with the mission and the goals of that community-based organization, but using the resources at hand to get those students involved. So developing clubs for them to be a part of, using social media in a way that gives them connection and interaction, having opportunity for students to share success with each other, goes back to what Gina already has said, inviting students, former students who have been successful, to come back in and share their stories, and but trying to really focus on that growth mindset so that we're rewarding, we're recognizing, we're presenting our programs in that positive light. Next. So I just wanted to show you some of the pictures. These are National Adult Education Honor Society recognees that we did a recognition every semester at Pitt. I know everybody may not know about the National Adult Honor Society, but it's out there, and it's a wonderful agency that we can use to further recognize our students. Next. Also participation in what's going on the campus. For some I've heard, and over the years I think it's gotten much better, but sometimes it's hard to get our adult literacy students and our ESL students involved with the social and the interaction of campus, getting other departments on campus to buy in to including them has been a big component for success with our programs over the years. It's taken a long time sometimes because, well, they don't pay fees, or they don't have student fees, but they do contribute to the community of our colleges, and so they certainly need to be a part of everything that goes on. Once they get connected to the college, they get connected to the programs, and so there's more of that retention then. Next. Again, celebrations, it doesn't have to be department wide, it can be classroom wide. Some of our teachers gave certificates just for accomplishing one small goal. So it's not all about the large goals, the long range goals, but it's about those short term as well. And rewarding and celebrating each step along the way makes a difference. And when we do that together, we are developing more of that community, that interaction, that connection. Our students share emails with each other, they share phone numbers, so they help each other and encourage each other. And when they know they're not in it alone, again, that makes a big difference in whether or not they choose to stay. So finding ways to get them connected quickly and keep them connected is what I want to share. So next. So one of the activities was a class project, where the students themselves did the department newsletter, and we did different classes who did their own newsletters and included their own information, whatever they thought was the most important, the stuff they wanted to emphasize, and that kind of thing. So it was a wonderful activity. It gave them certainly experience with technology. It gave them experience with writing. It gave them experience with researching. It was a great opportunity to just really do a lot of contextualized instruction, but also it was a project that they worked on together and had a final product that they could be very proud of. Next. So these are this is what I want to emphasize. I'm a big proponent of project-based instruction. And if those of you who may have known, heard about us at Pitt, we started having project fairs. We did projects for individual students who selected their topics, which is another area that we want. Our adult learners want to have autonomy in or some say in the content that they're learning, and not just why but what, right? And so letting them choose topics was a great motivator. We did projects with individuals, like I said, but we also did group projects. We did class projects. We got a lot of that competitive spirit going, not because everybody wanted to win, but it really just made a difference in making that classroom home and making it their community. So all of these skills and all of these experiences are pulled into project-based instruction. So next. So these are some of the different strategies that we use to promote community in the classroom. Again, I'm going to focus on the project. So one of the first project that we did with our with new students was something called a snapshot bio, and they used technology. They were we started out using PowerPoints, but later down the road, we used Prezis and other modes of presentation so they could actually share information about themselves and introduce themselves to each other in the classroom. The snapshot bio was just a wonderful way to give them some structure. So they did actually write a 5-paragraph essay with an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, but they also used pictures from their own Facebook pages or from their own blogs or whatever that was available to them, their personal interest pages and that kind of thing. And then they used that in their bio and shared information about themselves. And then they presented it. So all of those skills that come with putting a project together, with doing a little research, writing, and interacting were part of that project. We also did a project with for the whole class where we visited construction sites and learned about housing, the housing market, purchasing houses, designing, decorating. We pulled in all the math that went along with that. And it was really just a great opportunity for our students to work together towards a common goal and bring in a variety of interests and a variety of goals. You know, many of our students had never thought about owning their own home. We brought in a representative from our local workforce development board. This is before I was involved in it, but they came in because they had access to low interest mortgage loans for people who wanted to buy their first homes. And she talked about interest rates and mortgage payments and all that. So we pulled in a wide variety of skill sets in that one project. Next. So here are some of the individual projects that our students chose. So we started out small, and if you're afraid of project-based instruction, it's kind of a good way to start. Let the students choose their own topics, their own interests. I had one student who wanted to know why gas prices changed so much. And so he started doing some research, and lo and behold, he learned about supply and demand. It was awesome. We had one that's not shown here. I had a young lady who was a mother, and her child continually got ear infections. And so she decided to learn about the inner ear, and she got kind of stuck. And so the lady who worked on the human digestive system finished her project early and helped this young lady who wanted to learn why her daughter got so many ear infections. And we had a big reception in the evening. We invited friends and family. This young lady invited her mother to come and see, and it was just a really heartwarming activity. I have constantly been told over the many years that we've been involved in project-based instruction that they are surprised. Other people from other parts of campus are surprised at what our students can do. And I just think it was an opportunity for us to really break down that image, that negative image of high school dropouts and English language learners, which I was thrilled to contribute to. And I'm not saying that everybody had those negative images, but it was a little pervasive on some of the campuses where I've worked. Next. So this is the picture of the home construction project, and I just wanted to share it particularly because I did get connected with a realtor. I asked him, they were actually developing an entire neighborhood. So we got permission to go onto the neighborhood site often. We went at least once a week. It was near the college, so it was not a lot of transportation issues that we had to pay attention to. And we always had people there that we could talk to and ask questions of. We went one day when they were pouring the concrete for a driveway, and the students talked to the gentleman who had the big concrete truck with the spinning container, and I don't even know what that's called. It's terrible. But he was one of the best teachers they ever had, because he talked about the difference between square measurement and cubic measurement, and how concrete was sold in cubic yards and not in square measurement and area kind of measurement. It was a wonderful thing. We went to a local flooring company, and they talked about the different types of flooring and that measurement that went along with how that was sold, and that some were sold in square yards and some were sold in square feet, and you had to pay attention to that because pricing, right? So it was a wonderful eye-opening experience for them. And we ended up with they all ended up choosing a blueprint, a small handheld 8.5 by 11 blueprint that they could then do other figuring and deciding which design they like the best, which homes they like the best, and then being able to see those built was just a great experience for them.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next week, Tuesday at 2 p.m. for the Productive Struggle. Take care, be safe. I hope nothing happens from now until the end of today, and we will see you next week, hopefully. So thank you so much.